Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, let's dive right in because today we are unpacking a story that has literally captivated the public for decades. We're talking insane wealth, impossibly dark secrets, and a brutal double homicide right at the center of it all. This is the shocking Menendez brothers case. And look, whether you remember watching the original news coverage back in the day or you're just discovering it right now on your feed, the details we're going to walk through are absolutely staggering. We've got to start by setting the scene here. August 20, 1989, Beverly Hills, California. It was quite literally the wealthiest zip code in America. Inside this sprawling $4 million mansion, two of the most powerful people in the Hollywood entertainment industry lay dead. They'd been shot multiple times at extremely close range. It was a chaotic, bloody scene in a neighborhood where, honestly, this sort of thing just does not happen. But what's really chilling about this crime scene is what didn't happen. The killers didn't break in. No smashed windows, no forced entry. They didn't steal a single thing. All the valuables were left completely untouched. And they didn't run away. Instead, they called 911 themselves. The two people on that audio recording screaming and crying hysterically for the police to come, they were the victim's own sons. Section 1. The perfect Beverly Hills family. A flawless facade. Okay, so to really understand this crime, we have to look at who this family was before the murders. Because to the outside world, the Menendez family was the ultimate American dream. You had Jose Menendez. He was a Cuban immigrant who came to America with nothing and rose up to become this incredibly powerful music executive. I mean, the guy managed Kiss. And his wife Kitty was a former beauty queen. Together, they had two sons, Lyle, who was 21, and Erik, who was 18. It was all private schools, expensive tennis lessons, and luxury cars. Can you imagine? From the outside, this family had everything. Nobody suspected that anything was wrong inside this home. This is what makes this case so disturbing, the facade of perfection. Section 2, the night of the murders. August 20th, 1989. On that Sunday night, Lyle and Erik told the police they'd gone out to see the new Batman movie, only to come home and discover their parents' bodies in the TV room. But the crucial thing you need to know here is the sheer brutality of the crime. Jose was shot 6 times. The final shot to Kitty Menendez was fired at point-blank range. She had tried to crawl away. This was not a moment of panic. This was calculated. We know this for sure because the shotgun shells were carefully collected from the room. The killers were cleaning up. Because of that professional level of cleanup, and because Jose had some pretty powerful enemies in the music industry, the police actually initially suspected a mob hit. For months, literally nobody suspected the sons. Section 3, the shocking spending spree. Grieving or Grady? So, what first made people suspicious? It was the brothers' behavior right after the murders. $64,000. They didn't even wait. Within weeks of their parents' death, Lyle Menendez went out and bought a brand new Porsche for $64,000, plus a $15,000 Rolex, plus he bought a restaurant. I mean, seriously, who buys a Porsche when their parents just died? And it wasn't just Lyle. Erik decided he wanted to pursue a professional tennis career, so he hired a super expensive private tennis coach. Both brothers started throwing all these parties, traveling lavishly, and basically living it up. Their parents weren't even properly buried yet before this spending began. They started blowing through their inheritance before they'd even legally received it. And that's when that perfect facade started to crack. People started looking at them and thinking, wait a minute. Section 4. The therapist's secret betrayal, the confession that cracked the case. But you know, it wasn't actually the spending that brought them down. It was a massive betrayal of trust. Here's the timeline. Murders happened in August 1989. Then we have the lavish spending spree. But eventually Erik starts seeing a therapist named Dr. Jerome Oziel. In those private sessions, the guilt clearly becomes too much, and Erik confesses. He admits that he and Lyle killed their parents. Now, Dr. Oziel is legally bound by patient confidentiality, right? But he tells his girlfriend, Judalone Smythe, and when Oziel and Smythe's relationship ends badly, she goes straight to the police with a secret. That tip is what cracked the case wide open. In March 1990, police arrest both brothers. Which brings up a really intense debate. Was Dr. Oziel right to keep this secret? Or did he have a moral duty to report a murder confession? It's an unbelievable clash between the law and basic morality, and people are still arguing about it today. Section 5. The trial dividing America. America's first true crime obsession. Once the brothers were arrested, this case turned into an absolute media circus. They didn't deny pulling the triggers, they admitted to that. The whole trial became a battle over why. On the defense side, the attorneys claims Jose Menendez had severely sexually, physically, and psychologically abused both brothers for years. They argued the boys lived in constant fear, believed their parents were going to kill them, and acted in pure self-defense and survival instinct. But then you have the prosecution side. They argued the abuse claims were a completely invented performance to get sympathy. They said the brothers murdered out of cold-blooded greed. This is the question that divided America then and still divides people today. And honestly, after looking at everything, we still don't have a clean answer. For the prosecution, it all came down to this number: $14 million. That was the staggering inheritance waiting for the brothers. The state pointed to those carefully collected shotgun shells and that wild spending spree as rock-solid proof. To them, this wasn't a trauma response. It was a highly calculated business move to secure $14 million. Before Making a Murderer, before Serial, before any Netflix true crime, the Menendez trial was the one that started America's obsession with true crime. Millions watched the cameras in the courtroom. And the first trial, a hung jury. The jurors simply couldn't agree. So they held a second trial, but this time the judge banned the cameras. Without the media circus, both brothers were convicted of first-degree murder. In 1996, they were sentenced to life in prison without parole. Section 6, the 2024 viral case comeback, trending 35 years later. For decades, that was the end of the story. So why is this suddenly everywhere on social media right now? Well, in 2024, Netflix released the Monster series, bringing millions of new viewers and an absolute social media explosion. But more importantly, new evidence actually came forward. A letter Erik wrote before the murders surfaced, which many believe gives major credibility to those original abuse claims. Because of this, and massive public support from celebrities, a California judge has stepped in. The case is officially reopened for a possible resentencing. Which brings us here. As of today, the Menendez brothers case is no longer closed. 35 years later, the case is back in court. The conversation America had in 1993 is happening again right now in 2024. And this time, the answer might be different. So I'm leaving you with this. Looking at all the facts, the collected shotgun shells, the Porsche, but also the newly discovered letter and the horrific allegations of abuse, were they cold-blooded killers who murdered for money? Or were they broken boys who saw absolutely no other way out? What do you think? Drop your verdict in the comments. Thanks for joining us for this explainer, and we'll catch you next time.